In this day and age, I bet everyone's probably heard of a white tiger. And I guess how could you have not? But the sad truth is, they all pretty much take their place now as big money draws in various zoos and other captive institutions across the globe. And with concrete enclosures so commonplace, it might come as a surprise that at one time they roamed freely. This was mostly in the dry open jungles of central India, where members of the Bengal subspecies range. And it turns out they were just a rare, albeit naturally occurring genetic variant on your typical orange or yellow colored ones. It's tough to say exactly how often this mutation would show in the general population, but many credible sources have commented on their regularity and would write of their encounters as a somewhat accustomed event. While the very earliest records can be traced back to over 400 years ago, it wasn't until the turn of the 20th that it really started to pour on. Most of these animals described unfortunately have fallen to the hunt, but some were captured alive and placed in royal menageries. One such tiger was the famed Mohan, from which much of the present-day captive population would later descend. This is where the issues of inbreeding began, as he had to be mated to his offspring to produce more tigers of the same color. But the interesting question is whether or not the mutation still exists in the wild. The fact that none have been seen for the last 60 years is not a good sign, and since it would be tough for them to fly under the radar for this long, slightly more hopeful scenario rests in the few remaining orange ones out there, as it's always possible some of them still carry a copy of the recessive gene. This is where having lots of genetic diversity within a population of animals becomes such a big deal, because losing 97% of the tigers in India over the last 100 years means we not only lost these animals, but we also lost the many features and traits that were stored in their genetic code. And that's the likely scenario with this white coloration. The good news is the wild population here is starting to make a recovery, and one exciting thing about this is, if the white gene does still exist, the chances of individuals carrying the gene increases, and the chances of these individuals coming into contact with each other to mate and reproduce does too, which could eventually lead to white-colored offspring. It's all a numbers game, so keep your fingers crossed, and let's see what surprises the future has in store. On a lighter note, as if you needed another reason to why tigers run the world, check out the newest video up on Animal 5s, and I'll leave it at that. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and giddy up.